In May 2024, three of the world's most powerful automotive titans walked onto a stage in Tokyo: Toyota, Mazda, and Subaru. On the surface, the announcement sounded like standard corporate PR. They were forming a joint engine partnership to develop next-generation internal combustion engines. The press releases used all the right buzzwords: e-fuels, liquid hydrogen, carbon neutrality. But behind the polite handshakes and the flashing cameras, there was a hidden sense of urgency, a technical panic that these engineers had been wrestling with in deep secrecy. It wasn't about fighting electric cars. It was about a slow-burning chemical threat already destroying engines inside dealership service bays across the globe. They knew something the public didn't. The fuel running through your local gas station pump right now has been systematically weaponized against the very machine it was engineered to power. This isn't a conspiracy theory. It's a massive collision between environmental policy and brutal organic chemistry. By the time you finish this video, you will understand exactly why Japan's top engineers are completely redesigning the internal combustion engine from scratch, and the critical steps you must take this weekend to stop your current car from quietly destroying itself, one tank of gas at a time. To understand the crisis facing modern engines, we have to travel back to 1978. The United States Environmental Protection Agency issued a quiet waiver to the Clean Air Act. This single legal document changed the chemical blueprint of global gasoline forever. The waiver allowed fuel refiners to blend up to 10% ethanol into standard petroleum. Ethanol, and alcohol distilled primarily from abundant domestic corn, was hailed as a miracle modifier. It burned cleaner, oxygenated the fuel to reduce tailpipe emissions, and promised to break the chokehold of foreign oil monopolies. This blend became known worldwide as E10. For decades, E10 was a ghost in the machine. It was invisible to the average driver. Why? Because the engines of the 1980s and 1990s were heavy, low-stress, port fuel-injected machines or utilized simple carburetors. These engines had massive tolerances. They could digest the ethanol blend without much complaint. By the late 1990s, E10 became the mandatory standard across 98% of all fuel pumps in the United States. But the policy didn't stop there. In 2010, the EPA pushed the envelope further, introducing E15, a 15% ethanol concentration marketed under names like Unleaded 88. Recently, temporary summer waivers have made E15 a year-round reality. But notice how the automakers reacted. BMW flatly refused to clear E15 for any vehicle built before 2020. Nissan limited it strictly to specific post-2018 models. Mitsubishi still warns against its use across major segments of their lineup. The government said E15 was safe for any car built after 2001. The master engineers who actually built those cars vehemently disagreed. And now, the wave has hit Asia. In June 2025, Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry quietly published a revolutionary action plan. Japan had historically resisted direct ethanol blending, relying on a safer, stable compound called ED. But the new 2025 mandate changes everything. Nationwide E10 blending by 2030, a pilot rollout near major refineries starting by 2028, and a mandatory push to E20, a staggering 20% ethanol mixture by 2040. What nobody mentioned in those government policy meetings is what happens when this high-concentration alcohol sits inside a modern, tightly toleranced engine. Let's look at the chemistry that is currently keeping Toyota's top scientists awake at night. Ethanol is fundamentally hygroscopic. In plain terms, it attracts water like an absolute magnet. Unlike pure gasoline, which repels moisture, ethanol contains a highly reactive hydroxyl group. This chemical structure forms instantaneous hydrogen bonds with water vapor drawn right out of the atmosphere. The moisture creeps into the system at every single stage of the supply chain. It seeps through the giant vents of refinery storage tanks in Houston, condenses inside tanker trucks driving through the Midwest, leaks into underground station tanks, and eventually enters your car's fuel system right through your fuel cap vent. In an old 1990s car, this was a minor nuisance. You'd get a splash of water at the bottom of the tank, causing a rough idle on a cold winter morning, and then it would clear out. But we don't drive low-pressure cars anymore. Welcome to the world of modern direct injection. Today's fuel systems don't operate at 40 psi, they run at astronomical pressures, exceeding 3,000 pounds per square inch psi. The fuel injectors inside a modern GDI engine spray fuel through microscopic nozzle openings that are literal fractions of the width of a human hair. When water-saturated, ethanol is forced through these ultra-precise components at 3,000 psi. The results are catastrophic. We are talking about immediate micro-corrosion of internal needle valves, warped spray patterns that destroy fuel atomization, and the rapid formation of sticky injector deposits that starve the cylinder of fuel. And then there is the nightmare scenario, phase separation. When ethanol-blended fuel absorbs just 0.5% of its total volume in water, a critical threshold is crossed. The ethanol and water chemically break away from the gasoline completely. Because water and alcohol are heavier than petroleum, they plunge to the absolute bottom of your gas tank. Think about where your fuel pump draws from. The bottom. When you turn your key after your car has sat idle, your engine doesn't receive gasoline. It receives a violent, low-octane slug of highly corrosive, water-rich alcohol fluid. This causes immediate cylinder misfires, sudden stalling, and deep internal chemical scarring to your fuel lines, high-pressure pump housings, and injector bodies. If you own a classic car stored for the winter, a seasonal truck used for harvests, a boat, a motorcycle, or even lawn equipment sitting in a garage shed, this slow chemical clock is ticking every second the engine sits idle. It behaves less like fuel and more like a slow drip of acid eating away at every rubber seal, Vitten gasket, and aluminum fitting in your fuel delivery network. The problem becomes drastically worse due to a massive engineering shift that happened over the last decade. The rise of gasoline direct injection (GDI). For 40 years, cars used port fuel injection. The injector sprayed fuel into the intake manifold right before the intake valve. Every single time the engine breathed, a fresh bath of gasoline mixed with heavy detergent additives washed over the intake valves. It was an accidental engineering masterpiece. The fuel kept the engine clean invisibly, cycle after cycle, for hundreds of thousands of miles. But by the mid-2010s, global emission laws tightened. Automakers were forced to migrate to GDI by spraying fuel directly into the combustion chamber under extreme pressure. They gained absolute control over the air-fuel mixture. Power output skyrocketed, engine efficiency went up, and emissions dropped perfectly on the laboratory test bench. Volkswagen called it TSI, Ford called it EcoBoost. Hyundai and Kia built entire generations of GDI and Theta engine families around it. It was a universal triumph on paper, but the marketing brochures omitted a crucial engineering trade-off. With the fuel injector moved inside the cylinder, nothing was washing the intake valves anymore. They became permanently dry. Meanwhile, your engine has to breathe out its internal crankcase pressures through the PCV-positive crankcase ventilation system. This system recirculates an incredibly sticky, oily mist containing unburned fuel and combustion byproducts right back over those hot intake valves. Without a constant detergent wash, that oily film instantly bakes onto the valve necks under extreme engine heat. Layer by layer, mile by mile, it turns into rock-hard carbon deposits. Within just 30,000 miles, the symptoms emerge: a rough, shaking idle at stoplights, severe hesitation when you mash the throttle to merge onto a highway, and random misfire codes lighting up your dashboard. By 60,000 miles, the buildup can completely choke off the engine's air supply, requiring a highly specialized, expensive procedure known as walnut shell blasting to physically explode the carbon off the valves. The repair bills regularly scale from $500 to several $1,000s for cylinder head replacements. Toyota's elite powertrain engineers in Aichi Prefecture foresaw this disaster early on. Their response was an incredibly complex, brilliant piece of engineering called the D4S system. Introduced in the 2006 Lexus is 350 and later standardized across the RAV4, Camry, and the GR86. Instead of choosing between port or direct injection, Toyota built both into every single cylinder. At low speeds, the port injectors fire to wash the intake valves with clean detergents. At high loads, the direct injectors fire for maximum performance. It was a beautifully elegant, highly expensive compromise that solved the carbon crisis at its root. Ford eventually adopted a similar dual injection path on their newer EcoBoost platforms. But the fact that such extreme engineering was necessary proves how incredibly fragile modern combustion engines have become, and it gets even more dangerous when you add a turbocharger. When you combine high cylinder pressures, direct injection, turbocharging, and bad fuel chemistry, you create the perfect storm for the ultimate engine killer, a phenomenon that engine designers had rarely encountered in the history of automotive engineering. It is called LSPI, or low-speed pre-ignition. Under perfect conditions, your spark plug fires at the precise microsecond during the compression stroke to create a controlled flame front. But in a turbocharged GDI engine, microscopic droplets of engine oil mix with water-laden ethanol deposits to form superheated incandescent hotspots floating inside the chamber before the spark plug even thinks about firing. This hotspot ignites the fuel mixture early. The explosion occurs while the piston is still violently traveling upward. The resulting internal pressure spike is catastrophic, reaching to 2-3 times the normal peak design limits of the engine block. The shock wave is so violent it shatters piston rings, cracks the ring lands, punches physical holes through the piston crown, and bends solid steel connecting rods like aluminum foil. It can permanently terminate a healthy engine in a fraction of a second, with zero warning except a loud, metallic death knock from under the hood. The terrifying detail about LSPI is when it strikes. It doesn't happen when you are redlining the engine on a racetrack or speeding down the Autobahn. It happens at low engine speeds, typically between 1,500 and 2,500 RPM under heavy throttle load. Picture this. You are cruising quietly at 40 miles per hour in a high gear, and you step firmly on the gas pedal to climb a steep hill or merge into traffic without downshifting. The engine is under immense boost at low RPM. That is the exact moment the shock wave hits. An engine running flawlessly for years can suffer total internal destruction during a completely routine daily commute. For years, laboratories across Japan, Germany, and America frantically hunted for a fix. They discovered that standard calcium-based detergent additives used in traditional motor oils dramatically accelerated LSPI events. This discovery forced the entire global petroleum industry to react. The American Petroleum Institute completely overhauled engine oil standards, introducing the APISP and ILSA CGF6 classifications. Oil manufacturers had to slash calcium compounds, replacing them with safer magnesium alternatives to eliminate the ignition sources. But while the oil chemistry was stabilized, the fuel side of the equation remains a massive variable. Higher, unstable ethanol blends constantly alter combustion characteristics, creating unpredictable thermal spikes that are still being mapped by researchers today. This brings us back to that fateful 2024 press conference in Tokyo, when Toyota's Koji Sato stood shoulder to shoulder with the heads of Mazda and Subaru. The message to the media was optimistic and green dot, but behind the corporate masks was an engineering reality check. The current global fuel supply is structurally changing, and the cars on the road today were not built to survive it. Toyota is currently engineering 3 entirely new, hyper-compact inline-4 engines built from the ground up to survive extreme e-fuels and high-concentration bioethanol. Mazda is reviving its iconic rotary engine architecture under the Skyactiv Z program to handle multi-fuel chemical environments. Subaru is completely re-engineering the internals of its legendary Boxer, Platform 2 with stand pressures that would split a traditional engine block wide open. But what about the car sitting in your driveway right now? You don't have a next-generation engine yet. You are running on today's fuel. To protect your engine from this progressive chemical degradation, you must adopt these 4 non-negotiable rules immediately. Rule 1. Use top-tier, certified gasoline only. This is not marketing hype. Top Tier is an elite, independent certification backed by major automakers that mandates vastly higher concentrations of engine detergents than the outdated minimums required by government laws. Brands like Shell, Chevron, and Costco carry this designation. Independent testing proves it dramatically slows down GDI intake valve fouling over 30,000 miles compared to cheap, uncertified station gas. Rule 2. Demand APISP or ILSA CGF6 engine oil. The next time you do an oil change, look at the back label of the bottle. If your car is a turbocharged direct injection model, running an older specification oil is a literal gamble with your engine's life. Check the certification stamps carefully. Rule 3. Adapt your driving habits to stop LSPI. If you drive a manual transmission or a vehicle with paddle shifters, never apply heavy throttle at low RPM. If you need to accelerate to pass someone or climb a hill, manually downshift first. Let the RPMs climb naturally past 2,500 before requesting full engine power. This simple habit keeps your engine out of the high-stress LSPI danger zone. Rule 4. Stay updated on engine ECU software. Automakers frequently release silent ECU calibration software updates during routine dealership maintenance. These updates subtly adjust ignition timing, valve overlap, and turbo boost parameters specifically to mitigate carbon formation and eliminate LSPI risks based on evolving fuel data. The global transition to higher ethanol levels, whether E10, E15, or eventually E20, is an unstoppable political and environmental reality. The engineers in Tokyo, Detroit, and Berlin know they can build the future to handle it. The real question is whether your current engine will survive the transition intact, or become a statistic in a dealership service bay. The answer depends entirely on whether you read the labels on your fuel pump and your oil bottle this weekend. If you want to discover how another hidden engineering challenge is changing the future of the cars we drive every day, click on the video appearing on your screen right now, subscribe to the channel, drop your car's make and model in the comments below, and I will see you in the next breakdown.